Hello everyone, I am the Golden Scouta, and welcome back to my channel. Today is a solo video, and I will be discussing two of the most popular arcs in the anime Yu Yu Hakusho. The Dark Tournament arc and the Chapter Black arc are both highly regarded among fans. But which one is better? Let's dive into it. When I look at these two on the surface, there is one thing that stands out to me the most in terms of how each of these arcs were handled, from the stories down to their main villains. These two can be summarized as straightforward versus complex. I think that both of these do a terrific job of highlighting these aspects of their respective stories and villains, and I want to delve deeper into it. Of course, there's a spoiler warning. 3, 2, 1, let's begin. The Dark Tournament arc follows Yusuke Urameshi and his team's journey to defeat Team Toguro. What can be more straightforward than a tournament where the rules are established up front and you immediately know what the stakes and end goal is? Not every fight knocks it out of the park in terms of entertainment value, but it absolutely does when it comes to every major fight. The main message of the Dark Tournament is the power of friendship, but of course it is presented in a compelling way through showing the potential danger of relying only on yourself and closing everybody else out in life. What I really love about the Dark Tournament is how much it is a tournament arc and also a training arc. Because of this combination, Yusuke and his team are able to continue to refine their abilities and get stronger as this arc goes on, which gives this feeling of progression while staying in the exact same setting. Not only does Team Urameshi get stronger, but they also have meaningful character development. While there are a lot of tournament arcs that have amazing character interactions and fights, the stakes of this arc always feel real in comparison to many of those. And it's because the characters are pulling out all the stops in every single fight. You don't have this feeling that characters are holding back entire forms or trump cards. And the trump cards themselves in the Dark Tournament come with a price, so you can understand why they aren't always busted out. For example, Hiei's Dragon of the Darkness Flame. It caused him great agony after a fight, so you can see why he doesn't use it all the time. The Chapter Black arc, though, focuses mostly on Yusuke as he faces the threat of a former spirit detective who's gone rogue and has recruited a group of humans with special powers who aim to genocide humanity as some sort of twisted, righteous cause. The main message of this arc is, with great power comes great responsibility, through showing that even somebody who has good intentions can develop a warped view of justice and inflict unimaginable harm as a result. The road to hell is paved with good intentions after all. There are also moral dilemmas and aspects of this arc that are not black and white, and thus has a lot of discussionary potential. It tackles complicated subject matters and adds twists and turns that you would not expect. Since the goal of the arc is to prevent the gateway from Demon Realm and Human Realm from being opened, and not necessarily defeating and killing Sensui, it allows for more viewer speculation to how things will end upon the first viewing. In the Dark Tournament arc, the main villain is Toguro, a demon who is obsessed with fighting and becoming stronger. Toguro is a villain that states his motivations up front, and because of this, the stakes are made immediately clear when Yusuke and everyone he cares about is threatened. Toguro loves to fight, and he wants to push himself to his limits, and he sees Yusuke as the person who will do that for him. Toguro steals the show every time he's on screen because of his immense power and charisma as a character. His presence exudes threatening every time he's on screen, and you almost feel the urge to brace yourself when you see him throw a punch. Let's compare Sensui. Even when Sensui uses his sacred energy, it somehow doesn't feel as impactful as Toguro obliterating almost everyone he fights. Let's also not forget, if you're going to a convention and you're cosplaying as Toguro, you're going to get some compliments. If you try to cosplay as Sensui, nobody would ever know who you are, and you would have to be standing alongside a clear Yu Yu Hakusho character in order to be recognized. I think a villain who is as straightforward as Toguro, someone who is motivated solely by his own self-interest, allows for personal stakes to feel almost as impactful as grand stakes. You don't need tons of exposition for Toguro to be a compelling character, and his backstory and conclusion to his character only adds on to him. In the Chapter Black arc, the main villain is Sensui, a former spirit detective who has turned rogue and aims to create a new world order. Though he is initially presented as less powerful than Yusuke, he is easily able to overcome this gap in power through raw experience as a fighter, thus keeping the audience on their toes. Where Toguro has his raw strength alone to make him feel threatening, Sensui has unpredictability. This unpredictability comes in the form of his mind games, his experience, techniques, and split personalities. I find Sensui to be more complex than Toguro because his desires go beyond wanting to fight, attain more power, or any kind of selfish desire. He is a villain who does what he does as a way to serve a higher cause or purpose in his eyes, serving something greater than himself, so to say. He views genociding humanity as akin to cleansing the evil in the world. While Yusuke was really motivated to become a spirit detective to earn his revival, Sensui was actually dedicated to the spirit detective occupation, and felt a sense of duty and justice towards it. The big cautionary tale with Chapter Black is how Yusuke could become just like Sensui if he's not careful, which does translate to, with great power comes great responsibility. To build onto this, Yusuke obtains the power of an S-class demon, thus granting him the ability to take over the world if he so desired. But I digress. Sensui is a character that could have some people questioning his perspective, the nature of good and evil, and the notion of morality itself. Going back to my point of Sensui being unpredictable and complex, he always seems to have something more to reveal about himself, such as his split personalities. Unfortunately, his illness that was revealed at the end does not add anything meaningful and sadly feels cheaply tacked on. But let's briefly talk a little bit about the secondary villains before I discuss the main protagonists. In the Dark Tournament arc, the secondary villains include the members of Team Toguro and other demon teams. The demon teams definitely have their hits and misses. In fact, it's easy to say that almost every character that actually has a personality is memorable. All of the demons who are just mustache-twirling evil guys who just like causing pain and misery just tend to be I mean, we have characters like Jin and Chu who are fan favorites, and I think it's because they have a little bit more depth to them than just being evil demons who do evil stuff. It also helps for their memorability that quite a few Dark Tournament contestants return for the Demon Realm tournament later in the show. In the Chapter Black arc, the secondary villains are all the humans and 2 demons who are committed to following through Sensui's ambitions. They serve what they need to in terms of the plot, but they don't seem to have much staying power in the minds of the fandom. I would say their biggest strengths are not necessarily the characters themselves, but more so the obstacles they present to Yusuke's team with their unique powers, mind tricks, and the different environments to which each are faced in. They are also more unpredictable, given that one of them switched sides and another one got possessed by a former villain. There really wasn't a way for them to return in the Three Kings arc, since the ones that survived at the end of the arc resolved to never use their powers again. So with the main cast, both arcs utilize their characters well, giving them enough screen time and development to where you don't get the impression that there was a missed opportunity. I'm not going to analyze all the fights the characters were in, but mostly just showcase their role and development within each arc. This is the arc where Yusuke starts to feel like a leader and grows into a character that you could say is fully fleshed out. Yusuke goes from being terrified of Toguro and entering the tournament at the beginning of the arc to somebody who inspires his teammates and even the audience with his sheer willpower and refusal to give up. He also matures in the way that he goes from wanting to defeat Toguro as revenge for him killing Genkai to wanting to defeat Toguro in order to protect those he cares about. Kuwabara is a character who is very eager to prove himself, being a stubborn, tough guy with a sensitive side. Since he is surrounded by characters more powerful than himself, there are moments in this arc where he has self-doubt. However, he eventually learns his own worth as a fighter and team member of Team Urameshi as he defeats demons such as Graveler and Elder Toguro. Throughout this arc, Kurama grapples with his identity as a human and demon. He embraces his demon side for a time, out of necessity. This arc really demonstrates that deep down, Kurama is an empathetic character who can acknowledge struggles and motivations of those he is fighting. Sadly, he does get backstabbed as a result of this. You also get an insight of exactly how strategic and resourceful he is, even when he's at a clear disadvantage. Hiei is a very lone wolf type of character, shrouded in a lot of mystery. He clearly prefers to work alone and keeps his distance from others. However, the Dark Tournament forces him to engage in teamwork, both in helping his allies and relying on their support. By the end of this arc, you get the impression that Hiei is warmed up to trusting and having allies, even if it's just a little bit. Yusuke is morally challenged during this arc in more than one way. While he fought for those he cares about in the last arc, he learns what impact his strength could have on the world itself. There are times where Sensui tries to get Yusuke to see his perspective of humanity being inherently evil and not worth protecting. However, Yusuke has shown that people can be redeemed and rejects Sensui's efforts to corrupt him. Not only does his feeling of duty expand from wanting to protect his friends, but extends towards protecting and defending humanity. He is willing to lie down his life if it means that his friends would power up similarly to how he did against Toguro. I do think the Mazaku form caused the ending to be a bit rushed, but I think that it leading to the main plot of the next arc makes up for it. Kuwabara loses confidence in himself and his abilities in the beginning when he has trouble harnessing his spirit energy. However, he regains his belief in himself again when he discovers his ability to use an enhanced version of his sword, which happens to be a part of Sensui's grand plan. It is also here where we discover Kuwabara's moral integrity is unwavering by his decision to not kill Seaman. He clearly has a respect for the sanctity of life and refuses to compromise on this, even when the stakes are as high as they possibly can be. Kurama, being as empathetic as he is, questions his own beliefs about humanity's darkness. He has a lot of conversations with Yusuke and Kuwabara which showcases this. Kurama also takes on the burden of guilt and regret when he kills Game Master, something which was unavoidable, thus sparing Yusuke or Kuwabara from taking on those internal struggles. He also further demonstrates his ability to analyze and exploit his opponent's weaknesses against his fight with Gourmet, who is possessed by Elder Toguro. At this point of the story, Kurama seems to have fully embraced his Yoko form, as he transforms seemingly without a second thought when he tries to fight Sensui. Hiei's character starts to evolve from the lone wolf who fights for himself to someone who is more than willing to fight alongside others, and is even willing to lie down his life in the name of avenging his friend. Hiei does plainly state throughout the arc that he wouldn't actually mind if Demon Realm turned Human Realm into a hellscape. If this was Hiei at the beginning of the show, or even the Saint Beast saga, it would be completely in character for him to help open the portal, which really shows how much he has changed. If the Dark Tournament arc warmed Hiei to the idea of camaraderie, the Chapter Black arc had him fully embrace it. When I analyze how the protagonists were handled as a whole, I've noticed that the Dark Tournament arc has a larger focus on the team dynamics and showcasing the abilities of the supporting characters than the Chapter Black does. The Chapter Black arc mostly focuses on Yusuke after all. The supporting characters still have their roles to play in influencing the course of events, but not quite as significant as they did in the Dark Tournament. I think that this could be why a lot of fans prefer the Dark Tournament over the Chapter Black, since the spotlight is shared more often. So with that, which one is better? Both arcs are excellent in their own ways, and it ultimately comes down to personal preference. For me, the Chapter Black arc is the one I prefer, and you probably guessed it if you've already seen my review, which I'm going to link. I made sure not to repeat many of the points within that video in this one, so give it a watch if you're interested in hearing more of my thoughts about it. But let me know in the comments which arc you liked more. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. With that, thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.